pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel. Here I am with another In Other Words, my second entry, my second video in this series where I just tell you about interesting turns of phrase, grammatical patterns, and other vocabulary-related curiosities I've encountered in recent reading. Again, for the avoidance of doubt, I don't hold myself up to be an expert. I just have a lot of enthusiasm for interesting new words and phrases. The first one I want to tell you about is from a short story by Catherine Mansfield called At the Bay. It's the first story in her most famous collection, The Garden Party, and I just finished it maybe last week and loved it. The noun that I encountered near the end of that story is larrikin. Again, this is an Australian or New Zealander slang, which means a boisterous, often badly behaved young man. Larrikin. Oh my. At the end, one of the characters is worried about the maid going off gallivanting with some larrikin and going into the bushes and getting up to God only knows what. So larrikin, I think that's a useful one. I presume it's antiquated. This book was published a century ago almost. I read the first chapter of this Patrick Gale novel, A Perfectly Good Man, for my recent Try a Chapter tag video. And on the very first page I came across a gerund, I guess, or was it a adjective? A verb. It was a verb. Keen as a verb. Maybe I'm really stupid, but I had not heard it. In fact, I'll read you the two sentences. The first one uses it as an adjective. It's talking about this young man's flat, newly built flat. Its windows and doors were all double glazed, but there was a keen easterly that had found a chink in one of the seals around the picture window and set up a whale. The whole flat was keening. Keening. And keen easterly, I didn't really know, but what grabbed my attention was keening. So it just means to, keen means to wail in lamentation for the dead. So here it just keeps that association of a rather horrific wail sound. A keening wind. The whole flat was keening. And I can imagine that now that I know, when I can picture it, I can hear it. About halfway through this Australian novel, The Life to Come by Michelle de Kretser. God, three of today's books are from Australia. What's up with that? Just realized that. I'm doing this as a buddy read with Britta Bowler. Couple from here. Somebody's talking to either his mother or his mother-in-law, an elderly Australian woman, and she says that every time she wakes up, there's an old Aboriginal woman waiting by her bed. And her son or son-in-law says, it's called hypnopompic hallucination, a kind of dream that carries over into waking. And that's exactly what it means. So I didn't really need to go to the dictionary, but the dictionary confirmed that Michelle de Kretser got it right. Visual, tactile, auditory, or other sensory events, usually brief but occasionally prolonged, that occur at the transition from sleep to wakefulness. Hypnopompic hallucination. The reverse occur at the transition from wakefulness to sleep. Hypnagogic hallucination. I was familiar with hypnagogic, although I didn't remember what it meant, but I've heard that. I've never heard of hypnopompic. So, have you ever had a hypnopompic hallucination? I don't think I have. No. That's a very jargony word. The next one, I won't look them up in the novel, but three more pieces of Australian slang. The first one is actually, the dictionary says it's UK slang. Up yourself, to be up yourself. That was new to me. It just means to have an air of superiority, to think that you're better and more important than other people. Snobbish. She's so up herself. Don't be so up yourself. Okay, interesting. And little battler. So a battler is an Australian colloquialism referring to ordinary or working class individuals who persevere through their commitments despite adversity. And it's often, the expression is often rendered as a little battler, or just a battler. I also read the first 20 pages of The Natural Way of Things by Charlotte Wood for the Try a Chapter tag, and this was the one that captured my interest the most. And on the very first page, in fact, I believe it's the very first sentence, this woman, she's been abducted and she wakes up drugged and doesn't know where she is. So it's not the first sentence, but in the first paragraph. So there were kookaburras there. This was the first thing Yolanda knew in the dark morning. That and where's my durries? And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing durries right, but durries is Australian slang for cigarettes. Where's my durries? Now, interesting, the Urban Dictionary pinpointed it as being West Sydney slang, not mere Australian slang, but West Sydney slang. Any of you Aussie booktubers, be you little battlers or no, have any opinion on that? It's really from West Sydney, not East Sydney? Fascinating, eh? I'm 3/4 of the way through Grand Hotel by Vicky Baum, a 1929 novel, Austrian novel. I've been saying German. It's set in Berlin, which led me astray, but the author, Vicky Baum, was Austrian, so it's an Austrian novel. Marvelous. I'm really enjoying it. On this page, they're talking about a very protracted and sensitive negotiation, kind of a mergers and acquisition negotiation between two companies, which sounds rather dry, but it's written so well that it's not. And the one company is described as the Saxonia Cotton. Saxonia Cotton is the one company. So this sentence, Saxonia Cotton, on the other hand, hung fire. So what came before that was the Chemnitz Manufacturing Company was very active and growing and very high stock price or whatever. It was really up and coming, but the other one hung fire. And I've heard hang fire before, but I've never really understood what it meant. And it's ending up, this last piece of vocabulary is maybe the most interesting, and I've done the deepest dive on. So the original meaning, and often the original etymology is either lost or not so interesting, but here it is known, and it is, I think, kind of interesting. First found in print in 1782 and defined as a firearm which is slow in communicating the fire through the vent to the charge. Now, I can visualize that to a very general degree, but basically maybe you can visualize that better than I can. So hang is one of the many meanings that we still use the verb hang for today, which is to suspend. Here in the figurative sense of holding something in a state of inaction. Hung jury. Unless you have that one DVD that I have, that's a different meaning. But otherwise, we all know what a hung jury is, right? Being held in a state of inaction. So it's that same meaning of hang. But as it became more figurative, this phrase, I guess it's a phrasal verb, hang fire, or just a verb phrase. There is a difference. I'm a grammar teacher. Don't ask me to explain it right now. But whatever it is, the expression, it's been used as a figuratively since the early 19th century, in the sense of something that is delayed or being slow to happen. And then a second figurative meaning, something that would reasonably have been expected to happen but did not. There's a nuance of difference between those two meanings, isn't there? It's not common in Canadian English. I don't know if it is in British. So in British English, the modern meanings are to be slow in firing. I'm sure that's almost, well, no, I went to Wikipedia, and it is still a problem that some firearms have. They do still hang fire. It's a particular malfunction. So to be slow in firing, to delay, to be delayed, to procrastinate. Those are the modern meanings in British English. In American English, according to, I forget which dictionary I checked online, there's an additional meaning in American English, which is to be unsettled or undecided. None of those are particularly familiar to me, but how about you? It's an interesting phrase. I gave up the durries years ago, 4 years ago, I can't remember now. But I'm a larrikin in all but age still. I hope this video doesn't strike you as me being up myself too much. But if you're thinking about trolling me, please hang fire. Thanks for watching.